Hello, and welcome to another episode of CGN Live. My name is Taylor of Taylor Talks Comics. Let some folks trickle in here for a minute. I'm in yet another location. I've had to change my location of the show a number of times as we remodel in the headquarters here. But the show will go on. Today, this is CGN Live, cheapgraphicnovels.com, where we talk about all of the great comic books and graphic novels that we will have on sale next week, next Monday, August 28th. If you're in the chat, please say hello. Let me know that you're here. But yes, these will be on sale on Monday, August 28th. We have, I think, 48 books to look at tonight, so that's great. And there's a lot of really exciting ones, actually. It's a big week for comics next week. A lot of big releases that I know a number of people have been waiting for. So definitely look forward to the show tonight. But first, let's go over some plugs while we get some more people to trickle in. Again, if you're in the chat, please say hello. So some plugs. We've got Instagram and Twitter. You can follow us there at CheapGN. And you can follow us on Facebook if you search for Cheap Graphic Novels. Then you want to also sign up for a weekly newsletter. These are all different avenues to make sure that you're up to date on all the CGN news and releases that we have. And you want to do that because sometimes we'll have sales where we'll send out email blasts or we'll make posts about them on social media. So you can be one of the first people to jump on there and make sure that you don't miss out on any of the sales or extra discounts that you get. And also we post news about the new books that are coming out and all that jazz. This is CGN Live, which is a weekly show. If you're new here, we do this typically every Thursday and typically at noon. We're doing a special primetime episode this week, and I think for the foreseeable future, it will be weekly at noon. I don't think there's any weeks that I don't have Thursday off. So Thursday at noon is typically when we go live. Make sure you subscribe, hit the thumbs up if you haven't already. And hit the bell notification icon so you know what time we go live. But I also post show announcements and stuff on social media. But the preamble's over. Let's get through or share my screen and get into all the great comics and graphic novels that will be coming out next week. We're starting off with a big one. Again, if you're in the chat, say hello. Let me know what you've been reading lately, what comics you've been reading, what comics you're excited are coming out, all that sort of stuff. Up first, we have the Phantom Stranger Omnibus. This is the omnibus that was it was solicited, it went in the catalog, was canceled and resolicited and recanceled and resolicited a number of times. It's actually coming out. We've seen people actually have physical, real copies of this omnibus, so it is real. It's coming out for sure. It is cover priced at $150, but if you order through CGN on Monday, you can get it for 40% off, which will be $89.99. This collects from 1952, the earliest appearances of Phantom Stranger, all the way through. I think there's some content even in the 80s here. So it's like almost 30 years of content for Phantom Stranger, including the Phantom Stranger series 1 through 41, which started in 1969, and all of the backup strips that he appeared in the Saga of Swamp Thing during the Alan Moore run, 1 through 13. Oh, no. That's pre-Alan Moore. I'm sorry. I take that back. Before the Alan Moore run and Swamp Thing, there's backup strips of Phantom Stranger in issues 1 through 13. So when you see that on there, that specifically that I'm highlighting there, that's specifically talking about just the backup strips. You're not going to get the Swamp Thing content, but a lot of appearances of Phantom Stranger. So if you're a fan of him from his modern appearances, maybe you want to pick this up to see where he's got to start. Okay, hey, AC Figure Arts. Hey, just got a huge haul of DC Omnis from you guys. Currently reading Green Lantern by Jeff Johns. Awesome. What else did you pick up? I've been getting on a DC kick this year as well, with a lot of omnibuses. So let me know what else you picked up. I always like to hear and see people's hauls. It's one of the fun things about the hobby is seeing what other people are picking up and reading. So that's the one omnibus from the big two. It looks like we have an omnibus from Dynamite down here, but let's go, before we get there, let's go to Terry and the Pirates Master Collection, Volume 4. This is by Clover Press. These are these oversized, like, this is like the best reproduction and reprinting of these classic Milton Caniff strips as ever seen. Like, Terry and the Pirates has been reprinted a few times, but this is like the truly the master collection. If you haven't seen these, they're oversized hardcovers, and when they line up on the shelf, once they're all done with the collection, it's going to have like a beautiful connecting spine image. They look really, really great. But this will be $74.99, 25% off if you order through CGN. And this is Volume 4. And if you want me to look up, like drop in the chat if you want me to look up to see if we have any certain books in stock. Like, for example, if you want me to see if we have volumes 1 through 3 in stock, I can definitely do that for this. Red Sonja and the Adventures of Red Sonja Omnibus hardcover. This is the Dynamite book, and this is collecting the earliest appearances of Red Sonja. So you got stuff from Roy Thomas and Frank Thorne in here, but it collects Marvel feature 1 through 7, Red Sonja 1 through 15, and then some appearances from the Savage Sword of Conan. So Red Sonja has been Dynamite's had that license for a long time. So all the Conan and Robert E. Howard licenses were recently at Marvel, and then they went to Titan Comics. Red Sonja is the one that's been like the mainstay at Dynamite. So this is the only way that you're able to get these stories. These were not reprinted by Marvel ever, I don't think. I don't think Marvel's ever reprinted these. Got Green Lantern and Flash by John Setz, Batman by Morrison Set, Metal. Man, he did get a huge order here. And then Justice League by Scott Snyder. Super excited for the Okay, so this year is my big Flash readathon. I've been reading a lot of Flash comics. I've including the 3 Silver Age omnibuses. I finished the Francis Manapul run a couple months back and started the Joshua Williamson run. But then I recently, a few months back, got the Flash omnibuses by Jeff Johns as well. So I'll be reading those for the first time. I'm excited about that. So a little bit of a similar haul we got there. Yeah, Slow Hit. I was hoping you'd pop in. This is the book you've been waiting for. Maybe your most anticipated hardcover of the year, possibly. I hope you do get this next week. I'd like to see pictures of it so you can show it off to see what it looks like in its full glory. But yes, this will be $74.97. It'll be 25% off if you order through CGN. We have the Elden Ring official art book, Volume 1 and 2. This is an art book of the video game Elden Ring. And these will each be $59.99. I think Omar of Near My Condition showed these off on a video on his channel. If you're a big Elden Ring fan and you want to see what these books look like, then you can check these out on his channel. He showed them off, and yeah, those will be $59.99. Oh, I was wrong. There actually is more omnibuses from the big two, and a big one actually. Iron Man, the Invincible Iron Man Volume 1. This is a huge reprint that's been out of print for a very, very long time, and we have 3 covers for it. So this one is the standard edition, I'm assuming. Let me see. And we have. I was totally wrong. There's a lot of omnibuses this week. I apologize. I was very much wrong. Okay, so this one's the standard edition, and it's a cover by Perel. But this is a Silver Age stuff, and I'll show you. I'll let you know what the contents are once I get down to the Silver Age cover. There's this one, which I think is by Alex Ross. No, sorry, Granov. And this is the homage to the Kirby cover. So there's 3 covers for that one. That's a direct market, and then this one is the other DM cover by Kirby. And no matter which cover you choose, though, it'll be $59.99, which is 40% off the cover price. And this collects the earliest appearances of Iron Man, including, it doesn't even give me the contents. Really? Hold on. I'm going to look at the contents on a different listing here. I hate when they do that because that's not Max or Cheap Graphic Novels' fault. It's totally, I don't know why. It's like the listing is too long that it cuts off at the bottom. Okay. But this is a big reprint. This is hasn't been reprinted for over 10 years, I think. So 752 pages, I can tell you that. And includes Tales of, is it right there? No, okay. Includes Tales of Suspense 39 through 83 and Tales to Astonish 82. And the Tales of Suspense issues 39 through 83 are when he shared the comic book with Captain America, where they both split it. So those are like 10 to 11 page stories. And these only collect the Iron Man stuff, not the Captain America stuff. But they'll include the letters pages. And one reason why I want to read this, because I've never read these early Iron Man stories, and people, it has a bad rep. Like people seem to think they're not that great. But I'll tell you, I just recently read the Captain America Silver Age run last year, and I was reading the letters pages because I love reading them, the great historical context in them. And all the fans were constantly raving because it was the letters column for the Tales of Suspense. So the letters were in regards to both Captain America and Iron Man. But the people in the letters were raving about Iron Man constantly. Like they were talking about how great the story was and how much they loved the Iron Man strip in Tales of Suspense. So I will be interested to try this out and see. Let me know if you guys have read this. Oh, we got a chat here. I haven't read Iron Man in ages. He just doesn't appeal to me anymore. I like his epic collections, though. Matt Fraction was the last time he was good. Yeah, it's interesting because obviously Robert Downey Jr. made him hugely popular in the movies and made him a super popular character. But the comics, he's never really had like an iconic run. Like you can think of like the Michelini run with Demon in a Bottle. You think of like the Warren Ellis run was like two of the biggest ones, I think, probably the two most popular, well-known Iron Man runs. But I'll be interested to read these because, like I said, the letters column made it seem like people were loving this run, especially when you're sharing a title with Captain America. And most of the letters were talking about Iron Man. Just interesting stuff. All right, I'm going to scroll back up here because we have a big absolute to talk about. Absolute Superman for All Seasons by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. We sadly lost Tim Sale last year. He tragically passed away. But in tribute to him and his great artwork that he gave us, Marvel and DC have been really putting out a lot of his classic works. So we've got Marvel's been putting out the gallery editions of Spider-Man Blue. I think Daredevil Yellow's next. And then we're getting Hulk Gray and Captain America White. This is DC's offering, and this will be Absolute Superman for All Seasons. This is the first printing in this format. We've never had an absolute version of this, and it looks absolutely beautiful. I know Lohit's friend, I don't know if I don't want to name him. I don't know if he wants to be named, but he showed it off to us in our group chat, and it is really, really a beautiful presentation for this book, for this story. So you're definitely going to get your money's worth. I think one thing I love about DC's absolute editions is they go all out in book design and whatnot. So you're definitely get your money or you're bang for your buck here. But this will be 40% off if you order through CGN. It'll be $59.99. It includes there's a 4-issue miniseries, right? Yeah, so includes Superman for All Seasons 1 through 4, plus stories from Superman 226 and Superman Batman 26 number 1, and Superman Batman Secret Files number 1. So those are all different times that at least Tim Sale did the artwork for him. I don't know if I know Jeff Loeb was not writing that solo issue because that was just a Tim Sale thing. But it includes basically every time Tim Sale drew Superman, which is really cool. They included all that. Sean Chin, Kurt Busiek, Iron Man was dope. See, that's what I want to read more Iron Man comics because I'll always trust Kurt Busiek to do any superheroes. I think he's one of the all-time great superhero writers. But I definitely need to read more Iron Man. Maybe I'll do an Iron Man readathon next year or something with I think in DC I'm moving on to Green Lantern next year. All right, Avengers Volume 3. So we had the reprints of Volume 1 and 2. This is the reprint of Volume 3. And then in the coming weeks, we have Volume 4 will be reprinted, and then a brand new Volume 5. So this is the 60th anniversary of the Avengers, and they are definitely celebrating them in a big way with all of these reprints. This one is the John Buscema cover. Or is it Sal Buscema? I think it's John Buscema on the cover. Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, but I'm pretty sure that's John Buscema. And this is the direct market variant. This will be $59.99. And this includes issues Avengers 59 through 88, which I think is the big one, right? Let me see. Trying to see if this is the no. I think it's the next volume has the Neil Adams stuff. I thought it was this one though. I'm trying to see in the Kree Skrull War is what I'm looking for. I don't think so. It might be the next one. But issues 59 through 88. And then we have a standard edition cover here, which is done by Alan Davis, which definitely gives it a classic feel. So both covers kind of have a classic feel, which I like. But regardless of which cover you choose, it'll be $59.99. Absolutes only do it for deserving stories. Yeah, for the most part, I agree. And they're usually kept to smaller runs too, like miniseries, maxi series kind of things. You do have the longer runs for like Sandman and Preacher and Transmetropolitan, like that run like multiple volumes, and or Swamp Thing. But for the most part, yeah, they're kept to like smaller stories and the most deserving stories, which I like. It makes the absolute presentation worth it, and it makes you feel like even if you haven't read the story, maybe that you want to try it out, because why else would they put it in absolute if it wasn't, worth it? Now we have a book from Fantagraph. Oh, wow. We have another omnibus. I was really wrong when I said there's only one omnibus this week. There's a bunch. But first, we have Fantagraphics here. Lucas Verstrate is the writer and artist on this. It's called A Book to Make Friends With hardcover. It'll be $56.25, 25% off the cover price. And this is a dizzying, psychedelic, and psychological journey of a man in search of himself, rendered in hyper-energetic, eye-popping colored pencils. Tick, tick, boom. Open the cover of this graphic novel to unleash a bombastic bomb blast of frenetic line work, a cacophony of vibrant color, and an action-packed narrative that whirls and swirls in all directions. I love this. This listing is great. I don't know who wrote that, but they are amazing. I love that cover, and I want to open this up just to see how eye-popping it is. Not arguing here. That's fine. You can argue. No big deal. But I appreciate the deluxe treatment. I wish we got more Omnis, Deluxes, and Absolutes. Yeah, there's definitely an argument to be made for the deluxe, or just the oversized hardcover in Marvel's case. They're the same trim size as omnibuses, but much slimmer, much easier to manage or take on the go kind of thing. I love omnibuses. Absolutes are just beautiful presentations. I'm not discriminatory in my formats. I do appreciate good book design. So as long as the book is designed really nicely, that's kind of, and it's like the best presentation they can offer, the stuff on the inside. That's all I care about. Affordability is another caveat too. Like sometimes you don't need the stories to be in this big, large format, and you just want like a reader copy in a paperback. It's fine too. So it all depends. But that's just me. Nah, I'm good with trades for regular stories. For A Kingdom Come, I love an absolute. Yeah, so yeah, I agree with that. But like I said, I'm not discriminatory. If it's a story I truly love, I will fork over some extra money to get it in the absolute format. Like Watchmen, which I think is the greatest comic book of all time, I think needs to be owned in the absolute format. I think the presentation of that book is just amazing. But wouldn't it be nice to have an option of either? Yes, I agree. Well said, Taylor. Thank you. I agree. The option's important too, which Marvel does a good job of that. As far as like the Epic line and the Omnibus line, they're pretty faithful to both, and they know that they cater to different audiences. There's definitely people that only get omnibuses and people that only get epics, or people like me that get both. But I like that they cater to both with the same stories. I think it's important to have multiple options for your customer base. And this, I think, is the last omnibus. I keep saying only one more omnibus, but this one for sure. This is the Dr. Aphra Omnibus Volume 2. First cover we're looking at here is the DM variant. And this is a lower priced omnibus. It's only $75 for cover price. But if you order through us, you can get it for 40% off, and it will be $44.99. And this includes Dr. Aphra 1 through 25. So nice and easy, just 25 issues of the Dr. Aphra run that started in 2020. Let's take a look at the standard edition cover. If it pulls up here. There it is. So Dr. Aphra, I have not read these comics. I have been intrigued by the character because it's been described to me as being like a female Indiana Jones in the Star Wars universe. And that sounds like a really awesome premise. I'm really surprised she hasn't been adapted into or appeared in a live action show or movie already. Like, it seems like it was a pretty popular character in the comics and it hasn't already shown up. Singles rule. I'm not anti-single issue. I do still have a bunch of single issues, and there's still a bunch of like classic stories that have never been reprinted that I collect in singles. But I will say it's cumbersome to try to read like even a mini series or a maxi series of single issues when they're all in their bags and boards, and each issue you have to pull it out. I don't like that, which is probably why, and people are gonna like get really upset by this, but most of my singles are loose. I don't bag and board them unless I feel like I might sell them eventually. But if they're like reader copies that I read a lot, then they're just loose. I know people will be upset for me for doing that. Oh, we got a few people hopping in here now. Agreed, I love floppies, but you'd probably cringe at my current project, Low Hit. I'm custom binding all Dark Crisis singles with all the tie-ins for a custom Omni. That's awesome. I have not done a custom bind yet, but I'm currently in the process of collecting all of Master of Kung Fu, like the classic series, in like the nice pulpy newsprint paper that I love. And I'm going to custom bind all of those. I'm like 80% of the way of collecting all the issues. I probably need to spend some more time to finish that off. Paperback Dan, the celebrity of all celebrities, is popping into the chat again, making a second appearance here on CGN Live. I appreciate it, Dan. Thank you for joining us. Singles suck, I say, as I buy them every week. And then Sandwichism, we haven't seen you in here in a while. Glad to see you're still grinding with these streams. Big respect. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's the commitment. You go every Wednesday, get awesome covers, browse the titles and variants, then you show it off to your best friend, Dan. It's awesome. I love all the Batman, Superman World's finest singles so far. Can't wait to customize those. Well, that's beginning like its own little pocket universe, isn't it? Isn't Mark Waid and Dan Moore? Aren't they doing a Shazam miniseries? And then I think there's like a one shot also that was taking place in that same quote unquote universe. So that'd be really cool custom bind to have all those series. I don't know. I mean, hopefully one day DC gives us a whole collection of that, but if not, that'd be a good custom bind. We have Johnny Hazard Dailies, Volume 10, 1959 through 1961 hardcover. That'll be $39.99. The Nail Biter Compendium, Volume 1. So this is by Joshua Williamson and Mike Henderson. This was previously released in 3 oversized hardcovers that have gone out of print. This will be $34.99 if you order through CGN. That'll be 30% off. And this includes issues 1 through 30 and Nail Biter / Hack and Slash. It does say Volume 1 on it, and even looks like even the cover there says 1. And I know there was a follow-up miniseries that Joshua Williamson did, but that's it so far. So I don't know if you have plans to do another longer series that would make a Volume 2 compendium one day. But there's definitely not material out yet for a Volume 2. I feel like that was just like a preemptive Volume 1 label in case there is another Volume 2. Blankets, hardcover, anniversary edition. So this is the 20th anniversary of Blankets, one of the all-time great independent comic books. Craig Thompson does all the writing and artwork on this. This is like your teenage melodrama, coming of age story. And it's a memoir also of sorts. It's heartbreaking. It's love. It's young teenage melodrama. If you're into that, it's a great story. I highly recommend it if that's your thing. And it'll be $31.96, and it is published by Drawn and Quarterly. Oh, okay. We got the chat blowing up here. I love it. That's what I do. I'm so confused by the whole world's finest thing. Waiting to find out. Got to go. Thanks for streaming. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't think it's been officially declared, but I think Mark Waid has officially declared the timeline of when World's Finest takes place. But as far as like all the different series and stuff in this little pocket universe, what is entailed in that, I don't think has been officially written out or declared by DC. I think it's pretty much just anything Mark Waid's working on right now with DC. Yeah, baby, go Dan. Neil Biter, let's go. Yes, and it's coming out in time for you to get it and receive it in time for Spooktober, which is awesome. Everything gets labeled Volume 1 these days, whether they're going to be a second or not. It's so stupid. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, because when the first 30 issues were done, Williamson was pretty much said, I'm done. And then he did the miniseries afterwards. So I don't know if he's like making sure just in case he's going to revisit it, or if he does have actual plans to revisit it. But yeah, I agree. If they're putting a volume 1 on there, I hope it's a deliberate choice, because there will be a second volume. But just to have a random floating volume 1 is kind of lame. I wish you had the full story, though. I think there were 3 hardcovers. Those 3 hardcovers collected the first 30 issues, which is all that's collected in this compendium. But there was a follow-up miniseries after that that's only been collected in I think 1 individual trade paperback. So those hardcovers did collect everything in this compendium, except for the hack and slash thing. I don't know if that one shot was in the hardcovers or not, but those first 30 issues were. Eden 2 trade paperback by Kenny Roten. He's the writer and artist on this. This is a Fantagraphics book. It'll be $29.99. I absolutely love this cover. It's a blistering critique of digital media in a kaleidoscopic depiction of consumer culture. So it's fanciful and satirical, a combination of deft cartooning and virtuosic storytelling. But I've had my eye on that one all year, ever since, because I always look for the Fantagraphics catalog when it comes out. It's one of my true joys in comic book collecting is whenever the Fantagraphics new catalog comes out. They release one every season, and I've had my eye on this one for a while. Spectreman Heroes hardcover by Antarctic Press. Hiroshi Kanatani is the writer and artist on this, and this definitely looks like tokusatsu. I know Connor, he's a friend of a few guys in the chat right now, is a huge tokusatsu fan. I think I shared this cover with him, and he was like, "What is that? I need it." So I'm sure you'll be checking this out, but it's a hardcover. It's $29.99 if you shop with us, and it includes the Colossal Collected hardcover edition of Spectreman, our salute to classic tokusatsu, each of 5 classic heroes, electric. I'm trying to see what this is. It doesn't say what it includes exactly. I don't know if it's like a classic series or if it's a new series or what's going on with that, but $29.99 if you shop with us. That's the important part. This is a really cool idea. I saw this come out, and I love the whole concept of this. And it's especially cool because from my library, I just got the first volume of Peanuts from Charles Schultz, the Charlie Brown strips. I've been reading those. But this is a Funny Things, a comic strip biography of Charles M. Schultz hardcover. It'll be $27.99. And it looks to even be landscape sized. So it's like the format is even like it's made for there we go. Made for comic strips. And it's done by Luca Debus is the writer, and Francesco Mattuzzi is their artist on this. Put up by IDW Publishing. $27.99. I don't know if I said that or not. So volume 1 has the entire thing. Yes. You're Connor. Yes. Okay, then you know what this is then, probably, right? Alternative Cupcakes chat this is. it might as well be. Den Volume 1 Neverwhere hardcover. I'm super excited for this. So Dark Horse has been putting out the Richard Corbin library. This is the second installment of it. They're putting out all of Richard Corbin's work. Den, though, was a series of comics that Richard Corbin did for Heavy Metal magazine. And I think there's going to be 3 volumes of Den. But these are being restored by Jose Villarrubia. He's the one that is doing all the color restoration, which is amazing. He does amazing work. He's the one that did all the color restoration for the Swamp Thing Absolute by Lynn Wein and Bernie Wrightson, where he does like faithful recoloring to like what the original colors should have looked like, not like a modern colorization of it. So it's faithful, which is great. But this will be $24.49, and it is a hardcover. Richard Corbin's amazing. He's like the underground comics guy that crossed over into kind of not even mainstream, but just like sci-fi horror kind of stuff. He did do some stuff for Marvel and DC, but mostly known for like Heavy Metal and other horror comics kind of thing. Avengers, the King Dynasty trade paperback. This will be $23.99, and this includes the entire run by Kurt Busiek and Alan Davis. Includes Avengers issues 41 through 55 of that run, and material from Avengers Annual 2001. So if you are into the Kang character, want to learn a little bit more about him, this would be a good one to pick up. A Man in Pajamas, or Memoirs of a Man in Pajamas, I'm sorry. It's by Fantagraphics Books, and it's by Paco Roca, who's like a super popular independent cartoonist. He did sorry, I'm trying to think. I know he did The House that came out a couple years ago, and because it was also released in Spanish, called La Casa. That was the most recent one. I'm drawing a blank on the other ones he did. But this one is based on real events. The thrilling graphic novel chronicles the intense legal and political battles sparked by the discovery of a priceless shipwreck in May 2007. It'll be $22.49 for that one. Then we have Star Wars: The High Republic Adventures, the complete Phase 1 trade paperback. $20.99 for this one. It is put out by Dark Horse Comics. Okay. This must be the stuff that the Dark Horse is doing, because I know they have stuff that Dark Horse is printing, which I thought they were all ages. Yeah, these are for all ages. Okay. It includes all of those stories, which is really cool. No, so Dan's asking that question. No, so Marvel's farmed out a few Star Wars runs, and I think it's just the all ages titles, just like they did with IDW. How IDW was putting out those all ages Marvel comics, like the Marvel's Avengers and Spider-Man comics. They're doing the similar thing with Dark Horse, where they get their own little pocket universe of Star Wars, where it's like all ages comics, so like for mostly geared towards kids. That's what these are, which is interesting and confusing, because Dark Horse used to have the Star Wars license where they put out a bunch of Star Wars comics, and now Marvel's reprinting those. These are new stories that are geared towards kids in the Star Wars universe. Marvel just farmed them out to Dark Horse. Good question, though. It is very confusing. Three Rocks, the story of Ernie Bushmiller, the man who created Nancy, from Bill Griffith. This is a super interesting release. It's put out by Abrams Comic Arts, which their presentation of book design is amazing. They're the ones that did the panel by panel Fantastic Four book. They also did the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror hardcovers that look great. So Ernie Bushmiller, he created Nancy, which all of you have probably seen this character on the cover there. She's been resurrected recently in comic strips on the internet in the last couple of years. But Ernie Bushmiller is the guy that created her. So she's been around for 80 years, 70 years, like forever. Bill Griffith, though, is an underground cartoonist who did Zippy the Pinhead. And this is kind of him doing a comics biography of Ernie Bushmiller, which sounds awesome, for $19.99. You can get that. So it's new material. Yes, new material. Pre-Disney Dark Horse's Legends Epic Collections. That's correct. Or omnibuses. Cloven, Volume 2 hardcover. This is by Fantagraphics. Garth Stern is the writer, and the artist is Matthew Southworth. This is Volume 2. My Friend Toby hardcover by Magnetic Press. Gregory Panassioni is the writer and artist on this. Toby is a simple dog living in a seaside country village, indulging in the joys of nature with a freedom-loving artist master. Toby the dog. Isn't there someone in the Cupcakes chat that has a pet dog named Toby? I think there is one. This is Magnetic Press. They do really nice hardcovers with like the rounded edges. Like that's like their signature thing. And they've been pumping out a lot of comics, so it's cool. 1874 for that one. Maybe I should check those out. The Star Wars comics? Dan, are you into Star Wars comics? I don't know that I've talked to you about Star Wars comics before. Magic the Gathering, Volume 5 hardcover. This is by Boom Studios. And this is comics based on Magic the Gathering, and it collects Magic 21 through 25. Yeah, Star Wars comics. If you're into Star Wars comics, though, Dan, you should check out those Epic collections. They've... okay, you're saying I have never read any. I've never read any, but I wanted to for a while back. I can give you a couple. Because the Epic collections for Dark Horse specifically, and you have to be careful about this. Maybe Lohit can guide you. I can maybe help you out too if you really want me to dive into it. Because they've collected Star Wars comics on the Epic collections, like even like the earliest, like from the 70s to present. But the Dark Horse era, which like the 80s and early 2000s, you might be more interested in. Just because I know you are more interested in that era of comics. Those might be something you might want to try out, though. Epic collections are great. Great format. The Great Gatsby, essential graphic novel by Clover Press. F. Scott Fitzgerald is the writer here because he is the writer of the original material. But Jorge Coelho is the artist. It'll be 1874 for this comic adaptation of The Great Gatsby. The Marauders by Steve Orlando, Volume 2. That'll be $17.99. Avatar, The Last Airbender Imbalance Omnibus trade paperback. Dan, are you picking these up? I know you tweeted recently about rewatching this show. These are paperback omnibuses. These are right up your alley. I know they've released the Avatar comics in like oversized library editions, but they're doing paperbacks now. $17.49 if you order through us. It includes the first 3 volumes because I think the Avatar comics were a continuation of the cartoon. Like they weren't just adaptations. I think they continued on the story. Oh, I want this Avatar book. I believe I don't have this one yet. Okay, yeah, it doesn't have a volume number on it, so I can't tell you what order these take place in, but I'm sure you can find that out. Yeah, Dan, well, like modern stuff like The Old Republic by John Jackson Miller. There you go. Lohit's going to be able to guide you better than I will. Dan is a paperback bender. He tried fire and water, didn't work. Oh, like instead of Last Airbender, he's a paperback bender. I like that. Kariba, graphic novel by Catalyst Press. James Clark and Daniel Clark are listed as the creators. This will be $15.99. It's an African fantasy adventure graphic novel inspired by the mythology of the Zambezi River and the history of the Kariba Dam. All right. It looks very interesting. It looks like it's a one undone graphic novel too, which is always nice. Marvel's Voices Community trade paperback will be $14.99. Punisher Volume 2, The King of Killers Book 2 trade paperback will be $14.99. This is the Jason Aaron and Jesus Saez run. It includes issues 7 through 12, which I think is the conclusion of that series. And now we're getting a new Punisher coming out that was announced at San Diego Comic-Con. I have a few of the other omnibus that came out with. I was curious because I know you, like I said, you were tweeting about that show. Betty Page, The Alien Agenda. I think it must be a typo there. It says Betty Paget, but I think it's Betty Page. The Alien Agenda by Dynamite. Mia McLaughlin is the writer, and Sailor is the artist. Be $14.99 for this. Poor Betty Page has barely finished up her latest adventure and got back to modeling when duty calls once more. Seems there's something funny going on in a place called Roswell, and it's up to Betty to investigate. I'm assuming in a better, but I'm assuming this takes place in like the 50s, 60s era Roswell stuff, because that's when Betty Page was like most prominent. That would be an interesting story. Have you read that one, Lohit? I can show you later. Oh, okay. Yep, it ends at 12 for Punisher. Hey, look, Dynamite, Dan's favorite publisher. No, but Lohit, I know you love Dynamite. Have you read that one? Vampirella, Vengeance of Vampirella, Volume 3, Ghost Dance. Is this the Christopher Priest run? No, it's not. It's Tom Snygoski. Black Phoenix, Volume 2. This one is awesome. Black Phoenix is the Rich Tommaso does this. I have the big hardcover that he crowdfunded, but it's like a comics magazine that he creates with a bunch of like pseudonyms, but he does everything. He does all the inking, penciling, writing, everything, coloring. But he does different genres. So it's as if you collected a comics magazine called Black Phoenix, and it had all these different stories in it, like sci-fi, horror, like funny animals, like Tintin adventure type of comics. So he's working all these different genres. It's really, really cool idea. These graphic novels, though, are trade paperbacks, and I've been meaning to pick these up to compare them to my hardcover. So I think these are collecting like select stories. I don't think these are collecting the full magazines. But it'll be $14.36 if you order this through CGN, and it's put out by Floating World Comics. Red Vampirella Mind Warp trade drops this week. I guess Taylor can check. Really good. Well, if it's not on any of the rest of the list, I will look. It's Only Teenage Wasteland trade paperback. This is by Dark Horse Comics. Kurt Pyrus is the writer, and the artist is Jacoby Salcedo. Be $13.99 for this, and it collects It's Only Teenage Wasteland 1 through 4. In the first days of the apocalypse, a group of high school boys may be the last alive in the city. When his parents go out of town for the weekend, Mexican-American high schooler Javi decides to throw a party, one that will launch him and his buds into popularity. So teenage melodrama, post-apocalyptic style. I like that. $13.99 for that. Moriarty, Clockwork Empire. Titan Comics is putting this one out. It'll be Frederick Duvall and the Steven Subic is the writer or artist. I mean, $13.99 for that. Steven Subrick was the artist on DC's Riddler Year One by Paul Dano. Paul Dano is the guy that played Riddler in the Batman movie. But Steven Subrick was the artist on that miniseries that Paul Dano wrote. In an alternate history of London, you know and love, Holmes and Watson are on the case of evil card-playing clockwork automatons. The case of a monstrous beast killed in the smoky back room of an opium den, and the strange alter ego of one Henry Jekyll. Collects issues 1 through 3. So it's a mixture of genres. This is very similar to League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, it reminds me of, but I would like to try this out. But you got Jekyll and Hyde, you've got Sherlock Holmes. So it'd be interesting to try that out. Read this. Teenage Wasteland short story, 4 issues. It was okay. Oh, I read this. Okay, sorry. It's just okay. Oh, I was hoping it was better than that. EC Archives Weird Science Volume 2 trade paperback. EC Comics are some of the greatest comics of all time. Mostly known for their horror stuff, but Bill Gaines mostly touted their science fiction stuff. That was his favorite. And that's what this collects, is some of the science fiction stories, issues 7 through 12. Don't worry about the volume numbers or anything like that. They're all one and done stories. So you don't have to start at the beginning. But these are truly great science fiction stories. And these are like in magazine sized trade paperbacks. A really beautiful presentation by Dark Horse and super affordable. For only $13.99, you're getting like 200 pages of some of the best comics you'll ever read, some of the best artwork you'll ever see. Can't recommend these enough. Where Starships Go to Die. This is by Aftershock Comics. Mark Sable is the writer, and Alberto Lucati is the artist. $13.49 for this. Point Nemo, the farthest oceanic point on Earth. Sorry, I'm hitting my P's too hard in the microphone. It's like the episode of Friends when Gary Oldman's on there, and him and Joey are spitting in each other's faces. A spacecraft graveyard where rockets and satellites can be safely ditched on the ocean floor. So an underwater sci-fi, maybe a little bit of horror action going on here. 128-page volume contains the entire series, issues 1 through 5. $13.49 for that. And again, it's out by Aftershock Comics. Dogs of London. Aftershock Comics is putting this out as well by Peter Milligan. And Articida is the artist. How deep must you bury a body to make sure it doesn't haunt you? Frank and Terry are about to find out. They were once members of the Dogs, a feared gang who ruled much of London's underworld back in the swinging 60s. So it looks like anthropomorphic comics here. Maybe some mobsters and gangs of the 60s type stuff mixed in with horror in London. Everything I just said there, put it into a blender, and that's what you get. And that'll be the 5-issue series is all in there for $13.49. I don't see. Just wait. There's a great episode of Seinfeld. Is my most said phrases, I believe. I'll try to pigeonhole one in there. Maybe. I was told the cover was misleading, like as in like the art's different or the whole story might be different. Harley Quinn, the animated series, Volume 1, the Eat, Bang, Kill Tour trade paperback. This was previously released as a hardcover. It's put out by T. Franklin and Max Sarin. And this won a number of awards. It was super popular as a comic series. I know the HBO Max series is also popular, but this particular comic series was super popular. And it's done like just like the animated series, like the artwork and everything. But it's the Eat, Bang, Kill Tour 1 through 6 is what this collects. Sonic the Hedgehog, Scrapnik Island. $11.19 for this one. No volume number on this, but I don't know. There's sometimes kids' comics don't have volume numbers on them, and I think it's to entice kids to just pick up any volume and start from there. But it really drives me nuts as a parent. In particular, my son wanted to read the Plants vs. Zombies comics, and there's no volume numbers. And I had to look, and it's not just easily readily available on the internet for you to find like which one actually is first. I had to like do some like deep digging, and it really annoyed me. I think that might be the case with these Sonic books too. I don't know why they can't just put volume numbers on there. Archie, the Best of Archie Musical Madness. $10.49 for this. I think, don't quote me on this, but I think these might be regular trade paperback sized. I don't think these are Archie Digest. Because you'll usually say Digest on it. It'll be $10.49 for that. Mm-hmm. Oh, the story. Really? Dan made me read Good Boy. That was dope. After issue 1, my LCS clerk made me sound like it wasn't about dogs or something. I forget. That's weird. Point is, he didn't get what he was expecting from it. Good Boy was good. I won't steer you wrong. Juan, hey man, my man. Hey Taylor, I'll have to catch up on the stream. Thank you for joining me. I haven't seen you in a while. How you doing? Hope you're all is well. Shelley Frankenstein, Volume 1, Cow Piggy. It's by IDW Publishing. Colleen Madden is the writer and artist on this. Launching a new graphic novel series for young middle grade readers. Shelley Frankenstein is the great-great-great-granddaughter of a pretty famous mad scientist. I love the fact that her name is Shelley also. Like, what's the girl's name that wrote Frankenstein? Shelley, what's her name? Mary Shelley. Thank you. Okay. Mary Shelley is the one who wrote and invented Frankenstein, or created Frankenstein. So the fact that this character's name is Shelley is really cool. But this is perfect for kids in time for Halloween. She loves to be scared and tries to make creepy creatures to spook all her friends, but all her experiments seem to backfire. I'm going to definitely check this out for my son. We're always looking for comics to read for bedtime, and this could be a good one for in time for Halloween. But that'll be $10.49 for that. Oh, Mary Shelley. Man, Paperback Dan. You got the name before me. I'm impressed. Thanks, man. Still recovering, teaching, started back up this week. Oh, so you're recovered enough that you are on your feet, ready to teach those kids. That's awesome. Good luck with that. My wife is a teacher as well, and I I have such a I don't know, deep respect for teachers. You guys don't get thanked enough, and certainly don't get compensated enough for what you guys do. Now I forget impressed. So now I'm dumb. No, just because Mary Shelley's from before the Bill Clinton administration. That's where all of your knowledge begins, and is that era, right? Of everything in pop culture. And Mary Shelley's from I don't know what administration that was. Pre-FDR, I think. Batman Night Watch trade paperback for $10.19. Torres, is that Jorge Torres? Is a writer on that, and Marcela Di Chiara is the artist, and this collects 10 issues of Batman Night Watch. And then I think we're on our last book here. Yes, Batgirl Rebirth, Volume 8, The Joker War by Cecil Castellucci and Robbie Rodriguez. $10.19 for this, and include Batgirl 45 through 50. So we're on the 50th issue of Batgirl. That's awesome. I'll stop sharing my screen there for a minute. Okay, now tell us who wrote Dracula. The clock is on. I was doing the Jeopardy music. I'm losing my voice, sorry. My pitch was off. Dude, Frankenstein is from the 1800s. Is it that old? I knew it was I thought I was going to guess early 1900s. I said pre-FDR, so I was not wrong. That was pre-FDR. I'm gonna see Frankenstein when it was created, and then I'm gonna match that up with who was president then. Frankenstein was 1818. Oh wow, that was way early 1800s. U.S. presidents. This is gonna be a fun little project here. While I'm looking this up, some plugs here. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, follow us on at Cheap GN on both of those. Make sure you search on Facebook for Cheap Graphic Novels. Make sure you sign up for our weekly newsletter that we have. Okay, I'm failing here. Who was president in 1818? James Monroe. All right. So one of the founding fathers, James Monroe, was the president when Frankenstein came out. Shelley died in 1841, according to Google. Who was president in 1889? 1889. I would not know. My presidential knowledge is failing. Benjamin Harrison. Ooh. Benjamin Harrison. Yes, he has some ties to Indiana, so he's cool. All right, so that's our presidential knowledge for the week. A little American history. Thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate it so much. We had a good chat going here. Thank you for joining us, Paperback Dan. It's always great to have you in the house. And Juan, good seeing your face in here. Low Hit, always great seeing you. Sandwichism. Who else joined us today? AC Figure Arts, which is a new face. I don't think he's been in here before. I don't think I've seen him. Did I miss anybody? I don't know. Thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it. Fonzie's in the house now, dropping in. You guys are making chaos over here. Drop all the general knowledge questions here. We are here all night long. Do we want to keep going? Ask me who was the president in 1992. Bill Clinton. Yes, so make sure you follow us on all those social media. We'll be back next week at noon Eastern time on Thursday is when we'll have our next show. And I didn't forget Fonzie. He stopped in there at the end. I appreciate that. But yes, my cat's meowing. I got to go to bed. Thank you guys for joining me. Have a great night. Keep reading comics.